We're talking Detroit Lions news for you folks today. We're going to break down Brian Brach because he just continues to get better, and better. And there's a reason why that Tracy Walker is put in the second string. Not bad for Tracy Walker, folks. I'm not saying it's bad. It's because the emergence of Brian Brach and what he is bringing to this defense. Also, there's some cut candidates from some articles to go over that and a trade rumor that is looking like a trade for realer. And I've already made it on my personal channel, but we're going to talk about it a little bit there just because if you're not on there, hey, at least you're going to get it here. The road to 8,000 subscribers has begun. Folks, let's get to 8,000 subscribers. Let's push Lions Nation Night very high. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., we are talking with Robert Porcher, Detroit Lions great. Get his perspective on this football team, on Dan Campbell, what he's doing on his side, and all of that. And I can't wait to get in that. But let's go ahead and start with the Detroit Lions trade rumors. Julian Okwara, and I'm sure you've already heard this. I'm sure you've already heard it from myself or other people reading on it. It's legit. Detroit Lions are looking to trade Julian Okwara. And one of the teams is the New York Giants. Makes sense. Why does it make sense? We played the Giants week 1. What did Julian Okwara do week 1 of preseason? He sacked the quarterback 3 times. Probably could have had 4. He was looking outstanding. They want to get better pass rush, somebody opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau. Julian Okwara, young, would be a good pass rush option, a cheap option for the New York Giants. With that said, if you're looking to trade Julian Okwara, 1, it means the team does not believe he's going to make the 53-man roster. And guess what? If I know that, you know that. Other teams know that. Other general managers and coaching staff know that. So that means you're not going to get max value for him. So if you're to trade Julian Okwara, we're talking about a conditional, maybe a 6th-round pick or a pick swap in the 7th round, something of that nature. Back-end compensation for Julian Okwara. And look, it's not bad. If you're going to cut the player anyways, it's better to get something than nothing. And that's what teams generally do before they cut down to 53. They look to deal some players whom they believe is not going to make the roster. It could be another option, too, that another team comes in and maybe there's a player swap. You don't see it as much. I love player swap. I know Lions need help with the offensive line depth. Maybe you can throw Julian Okwara to another team for an offensive lineman. But it feels like the Giants is probably where he'll end up going. So sooner rather than later, Julian will be traded, in my opinion, to another football team. And that's good for him as well as, the Detroit Lions getting something out of it and whatever team he goes to. Wouldn't you rather go ahead and trade a guy instead of just releasing him? And then for his self, at least he knows he's going to another team. He doesn't got to worry about, I got to go to this team and see if they'll like me. At least he'll have a spot to play for Detroit. Let's go ahead and talk about an article here, All Lions, talking about some players who could be surprise cut. One being Khalil Dorsey. I actually don't think that's a big surprise cut, in my opinion. I don't. It is what it is, but they think it is. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on this one. I don't think it's a surprise cut. Next one here, Romeo Okwara. Now, that would be a surprise cut. I do believe the Detroit Lions will keep Romeo Okwara. He's a veteran upon this defensive line that is quite young. You got Joshua Pascal, Aiden Hutchinson. You'd like to have somebody kind of like a Charles Harris with the Romeo Okwara, John Kaminsky in there. I think with the lack of money that we have to pay for him, which is not much, doesn't really make sense to trade him away. He's a decent option when it comes to having more players come after the quarterback. You need to have a lot of players on the defensive line that get tired quick. You want rotation. You want waves. I think that's important. You don't want to be tired in the 4th quarter. What if injuries start to happen? That's going to be a problem. It's not like he's Michael Brockers. Okay, Michael Brockers, great leader, but he was pretty much done on the field. Romeo Okwara, he still got some left. Last year in 5 games, he had 2 sacks. So, and he was injured and he was coming back. I think he can get those sacks sometime this year. Is he the same Romeo Okwara we've seen from years ago? No. Absolutely no, he is not. He is not the same Romeo Okwara, but he's not bad either. He's not the 54th best player on this roster. I think he's better than a couple players. With what they're doing, might as well just keep Romeo Okwara on this football team. I don't think he gets cut. Next player here, Will Harris. I hope this is the case. I'm not the biggest Will Harris fan. I got nothing against the guy, but every time I see him play, I see other players that are much better than him. In the safety position, in the cornerback position. Look at safety, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I have all ahead of him. Tracy Walker, I have ahead of him. Okay, there's not a lot of room in the safety position. Cornerback position, we know all the top guys. Starling Thomas, I like him above him. Stephen Gilmore, I like him above him. Those are young players. Surprise would be the fact that the coaching staff likes this guy and he's been on this team forever. We, as fans, have been saying at some point you got to let him go. That would be the surprise here. The play on the field wouldn't be a surprise, but for whatever reason, he stays on this football team. He just has a knack to stay on it. Maybe he's a great locker room guy. I want at some point to have great play on the field guy. That is my preference when it comes to Will Harris. Nothing against him. Let me know in the comment section, should the Lions cut Will Harris? C for cut or K for keep? Put that in the comments below. Let's continue on players that potentially could be a surprise cut here. Okay, that is it. Was there another one? I swear there's another one. Chase Lucas must have passed it. That's not really a surprise cut. I really don't think it's a surprise cut for the Lions to go ahead and cut Chase Lucas. When you look at, again, kind of like the situation here with Will Harris, I think the higher ceiling potentially could be Sterling Thomas, Stephen Gilmore. Chase Lucas did pretty decent in preseason, and I prefer him over Will Harris. That is for sure, but it wouldn't shock me at all if the Lions cut Chase Lucas. I don't think it surprised really anybody. We're not talking about some early draft pick. Last year, 7th round pick. He didn't really play a whole lot last year. So I don't think it to be much of a surprise. I don't think it would be a shock. I don't think it would be a surprise if either stayed on the roster or not. I think it's kind of in the middle there of, it's a move made. I do like what he brings though to this football team, but not much. Brian Branch, and I've read this on multiple things, is blowed up training camp practice yesterday. Brian Branch is a stud, folks. Brian Branch is the biggest steal of this year's draft, and I cannot believe the Green Bay Packers would trade with the Lions. We get a guy who is considered for sure a top 15 pick. A lot of people said they'd take him at 18 if he's there. We get this guy in the 2nd round. Not only is he going to be a starter, he's going to be an impact player for the Lions this year. We're talking about a guy who could play multiple positions, and he gets it. He's got speed, he's decisive, he knows the playbook, he looks like a veteran out there. It's amazing. And he's doing it in training camp, and he's doing it on the field. Great news. One of the, for that I can remember, the steals of the draft in a long time. Brian Branch, and the way that he's able to cover, and the way he's able to be physical, and his speed can make him one of the best pieces on the Lions defense. I know that sounds crazy, but he legitimately could be one of the best pieces on defense. He could be a breakout player for the Lions this year. And we've talked about Jahmyr Gibbs. We talked about Jack Campbell. We've talked about other players who could be breakout players. Why not Brian Branch? he's going to be, in my opinion, he's starting. He's got to be starting. And it's not a knock on any other players. He's just that good. It's not a knock on Tracy. It's not a knock on anyone else. It's just that he's good. It's a positive with him. And I love how the Lions are not playing around. He's going to get his opportunity. This is something that this coaching staff has done. I love this is something that is different from past, where they don't care if you're a rookie. If you're the best player playing, whether you're a rookie or not, you're going to play. We've seen it with Malcolm Rodriguez last year. I cannot wait to watch what he does for the Lions in 2023. I cannot wait. He could be one of the better defensive players in football. He has that potential immediately as a second-round pick. Should have been a first-round pick. Absolutely no doubt. Amazing what we're hearing and seeing about Brian Branch. Amazing what Brad Holmes has done in the draft, acquiring talent like him. The future of the safety position, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. That's a sick young combination right there. That is a sick young combination of physical pounding, turnovers, speed, power, all of the above. Tomorrow, folks, 4 p.m., make sure you're here. Robert Porcher, live interview with him, talking Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, what he's got going on, all of the above. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you subscribe. It's going to be a good one, folks.